Make no mistake, in dealing with aggressors in the Balkans, hesitation is a license to kill.
It is one of the world's most dangerous weapons systems, and it fights in close.
We operate in the ground regime. Just like a tank, we use the terrain to our advantage.
In the pitch black of night, in bad weather or good. The U.S. Army Apache attack helicopter can destroy anything in its path. And it was the Apache NATO sent to challenge the Serbian army in Kosovo.
He will not be able to hide from the Apaches.
Everybody off this hill. Let's go. Off the hill, sir. The crash happened about 15 minutes ago.
But when the war was over, 2 Apache pilots were dead, and the mission was left burning in controversy. Tonight, how it all happened inside Task Force Hawk.
On the Inside, with correspondent Forrest Sawyer.
Not long after it began, it was clear NATO's war in Kosovo was not going well. Hundreds of NATO aircraft, Navy F-18s and F-14s, Air Force B-1 bombers, B-52s, F-15s, F-16s, even the F-117 stealth fighter were launching high-altitude attacks on Serbian targets again and again. But the Serbs would not give in. Even worse, the Serbs retaliated by forcing hundreds of thousands of ethnic Albanians to leave their homes for makeshift refugee camps.
I am alone here. I have nobody here. My brothers, my parents are out there. I don't know where they are.
Serb army and police burned villages. And massacred civilians. And NATO's high-tech war was powerless to stop it. The Clinton administration decided it was finally time to call in the cavalry. U.S. Army Air Cavalry. 24 Apache attack helicopters to be sent from their base in Germany to challenge the Serbian army in close air combat for the first time. NATO officials were exuberant.
We are extremely grateful to the United States for making available this extremely important capability at the right time. There is no doubt about that, and which will significantly enhance our ability to go after those ground targets in Kosovo.
The U.S. government underscored the urgency of the Apache's mission.
When you consider the transportation challenges, probably talking about a week or so, maybe 7 to 10 days.
The Apaches were in trouble before they even arrived. They would wind up in the bankrupt former communist nation of Albania, at the Tirana airport with its single runway, its 10,000-foot-high mountains blocking the path into Kosovo, and more mud than you have ever seen. An astonishing sea of bone-chilling, vehicle-sticking, boot-slapping, sink-like-a-stone, pure evil kind of mud. So deep that Army engineers and contractors looking for hard foundation finally found it 70 feet down.
In plain old English, it's very flat. There's essentially no slope. The drainage system that was built here 10 years ago is overgrown and pretty much non-existent.
Literally everything had to be airlifted into what was being called Camp Muddy. Hundreds of flights of Air Force C-17s landing almost every half hour. A seemingly endless chain of supplies.
If you could imagine, this is an extremely large camping site, and all of the food, the water, the tentage, the materials that you would need to subsist for an extended period of time. And so that's why I call us the Super Kmart.
And long before even the simplest creature comforts could be offered, the newly named Task Force Hawk had to bring in heavy firepower to seal the air base's perimeter from possible attack. Not only from the Serbian army, but also from terrorists.
The terrorist levels that we've been warned about here in the country are probably assessed as some of the highest within the Balkans.
Protecting Task Force Hawk was priority number one.
Well, pretty much what we've done is we've interspersed tactical or armored vehicles here. We got Bradleys down over to the left-hand side. Their field of fire will reach all the way down to almost 3,000 meters down to those buildings in the distance where, you know, the terrain actually crests out.
I think you got sheep here by your tank, sir.
Infiltrators.
In spite of all the hardship, Task Force Hawk was still painfully growing into a frontier town of 5,000 residents. The Pentagon's promise of 10 days came and went, with the Apaches making it only as far as Italy. And NATO's Commander-in-Chief, General Wesley Clark, was facing some hard questions.
I can tell you that there wasn't anything other than military logistics and common sense planning and execution holding up this deployment. It certainly wasn't held up for any political reasons.
Whatever the reasons, the Apaches had certainly never tried anything like this before. These helicopters almost always fight together with ground forces, artillery, tanks, and other aircraft, each element protecting the other. But NATO had ruled out ground forces in Kosovo, so the Apaches would have to fly alone, across devilishly difficult terrain, right into the teeth of Serbian artillery and surface-to-air missiles.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Even the man in charge of Task Force Hawk, General John Hendricks, could not conceal his concerns.
Is this too difficult a mission for Apaches to take on in this way?
I mean, this is a doable mission, but it doesn't mean, by saying that it's a doable mission, it doesn't mean to say that it's not a difficult mission. And in my experience, any war that I've been in is tough, presents a lot of challenges. So I would say it's a doable, very, very challenging mission.
At the Pentagon, the doubts were deepest of all. The Joint Chiefs of Staff had actually agreed only to send the Apaches to Albania, not to let them into combat. Army Chief of Staff General Dennis Reimer.
And so it was a two-part decision.
Why in the world would you deploy them if you weren't sure that you could use them?
Well, because they bring a tremendous capability. And so we made the decision to deploy them there with the idea that they could be employed if the conditions were right.
Through it all, Task Force Hawk was struggling to its feet. Food was starting to taste a lot better.
What do you think this is doing for the guys?
Bringing that morale up a whole lot more, I'll tell you that. I know if you've been out here for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks like I have, you get tired of your MREs.
Looking good, looking good.
Wooden sidewalks were being laid down. Even showers were up and running. And after all the delays, the Apaches at last arrived in force. Waiting for them on the ground was a secret weapon.
Got a phone call saying that my services were needed overseas and to pack my bags.
A secret weapon named Brigadier General Dick Cody, who knows more about flying Apaches than anyone in the Army.
141 Nels Control.
This is a tough mission for attack helicopter because the terrain and the type of enemy we're fighting, the different dynamics on the battlefield that we're going to encounter.
2, 1, shot, over.
If anyone could make this mission impossible succeed, it was Dick Cody. After all, he was the young lieutenant colonel who designed and led the first assault of the Gulf War in 1991.
Right now we're here to deter aggression, and if there is aggression, then to deal with the enemy as appropriate, and that's what we're trained to do as attack pilots.
It was called Task Force Normandy. 8 Apaches flying low and fast across the Iraqi border to completely destroy critical early warning Iraqi radar systems. With Saddam's defense blinded, the Gulf War was virtually over before it began, and Dick Cody was imagining a new kind of Apache war.
We have long said Apaches can go deep. We have long said that the Apache can penetrate the flot, as long as we create the right conditions for them to do it, and that's what really Task Force Hawk is all about.
The problem was the Apaches in Albania were already so deep in controversy, they were fast coming to symbolize the confusion and uncertainty of a war that seemed to have no clear plan. Was the Army's premier attack helicopter really up to such a dangerous challenge? The Apache AH-64A attack helicopter, shown here training in Germany, is a world-class killing machine. But it has also had to live down an unsavory reputation as being downright unreliable.
Back when you cleared the strike to the recovery runway 21.
Army figures show 51 serious crashes since the Apache went into operation, with 14 fatalities. First delivered to the Army in early 1984, the Apache suffered so many mechanical problems, it became the subject of a scathing 1990 General Accounting Office report, which said the helicopters were under repair a full 50% of the time. That same year, when 288 Apaches were deployed to Saudi Arabia for the Gulf War, the manufacturer had to send along hundreds of maintenance specialists to babysit. But the complaints disappeared once the war started. In the 100 hours of Gulf War fighting, 15 Apache battalions claimed the destruction of 500 Iraqi tanks, 120 armored personnel carriers, 30 air defense units, 120 artillery pieces, and hundreds of Iraqi prisoners of war captured.
Roger, we got a whole bunch of guys throwing AK-47s up the air down here. Does that mean anything? Don't shoot them, shoot their equipment.
And the Apaches were there at the end, hanging over the highway of death when Iraqi soldiers tried to escape Kuwait City. The attack helicopter had finally earned its place as a cornerstone of U.S. Army battle plans. To understand why, look inside the armor plating designed to deflect even powerful ordnance. There is room for 2 pilots, the driver in the back seat, the commander in front, controlling most of the weapons. At Task Force Hawk, an Apache squadron leader guides us through the technological maze. For security reasons, he is called only George, and his face remains hidden.
Tell me about these weapon systems.
Well, you know, the 30-millimeter chain gun mounted under the nose of the aircraft carries up to 1,200 rounds of high explosive ammunition. It's electronically latched to either the head of the pilot or the head of the co-pilot, so all you have to do is look and shoot.
So as you turn your head, the machine gun turns?
Yes, that's exactly right. Instantaneously, and it turns with a great deal of force under there. So if the gun were actioned right now and looked 90 degrees, it could knock you off your feet, I think.
On either side of the aircraft are powerful 70-millimeter rockets.
What would you use these for?
It's a suppression weapon, causes the enemy to put his head down, worry about what's coming in on him, and not potentially shooting us from the aft end while we're moving out of that battle position.
Then, There is the Hellfire missile.
This is your most powerful weapon.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
What does it do?
Well, it's an armor. It's a tank-killing weapon munition. It comes in from the top, fires a long way. It's got a 95-pound missile with a very effective shape charge warhead in it, and flies down into the target on a laser beam. It looks for a laser spot that we can squirt out of the front of the aircraft.
The laser is beamed from the helicopter's nose. The gunner locks it onto a target, fires, and the Hellfire missile rides the laser in like a homing beacon. With effective ranges of more than 4 miles, the Hellfire is devastating.
It's great on bunkers, tanks, APCs, that kind of thing. Very, very effective weapon system and very accurate.
There is a satellite navigation system, a radar warning system that alerts the pilots to enemy radar or incoming missiles, and infrared jammers and chaff systems to confuse the missiles. And to help them see in pitch-black night, a forward-looking infrared imaging system is also wired to the pilot's helmet.
Now, if we're powered up, that would be seeing. You would be seeing a infrared depiction of what's in front of the aircraft, overlaid with engine health indications and flight weapons symbology.
The one thing the Apache does not have is an escape if something goes wrong.
You know that if you're flying in an F-16 or an F-14 or an F-18, you're flying with a parachute.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically strapped right into you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that.
No. No parachutes.
You
got four blades rotating at an incredible amount of RPMs above you.
The Apaches were intended to have a lot of help on the battlefield. Under the Army's standard guidelines, Apache squadrons maneuver along the forward edge of friendly ground forces, supported by infantry, tanks, artillery, and ground-launched missiles. In this war, the Apaches' only support would be far behind the front lines. Artillery and truck-mounted rocket launchers called the Multiple Launch Rocket System, or MLRS. The Apaches would fly into Kosovo on their own and vulnerable.
The closer you are to the ground, the more casualties you're likely to take, which is the Apache issue, the Apache concern that people always surface.
And that is exactly what worried the Pentagon so deeply.
I had reservations from the standpoint of the concept of operation. And we were going out and doing something that was outside of doctrine. As we've said a couple of times here already, the Apache was designed to work with ground forces, and that's the way they work best.
Which brings us to the biggest worry of all. Soviet-made, shoulder-mounted, surface-to-air missiles. Hard to detect, hard to avoid. The Apaches are notoriously vulnerable, and it's believed the Serbian army has thousands of them.
I'm pretty sure that Milosevic knows exactly where these Apaches are. Why doesn't he just place a bunch of surface-to-air missiles all around these passes where you're likely to come?
Well, I think if he did that, we would take them all out before we sent the Apaches in.
Can you see shoulder-mounted surface-to-air missiles that easily?
No, but we certainly can see his people moving around. If he puts them all up there, we'll take them out before the Apaches come in.
Tail Rider 6, Blue Star 3.
It certainly sounds good. But what if General Cody is wrong? It would have to be the pilots themselves who fly into the darkness and dance with dragons and risk everything to learn the answer.
Do not let somebody shoot you. Be swift, be violent. Hit them with as many rockets as you can, as many 30 millimeters, so that we bring all these aircraft home.
It is early evening. This squadron commander is giving his pilots a final briefing before their training mission. For security reasons, we'll call him only Jake, and we won't show his face.
I want to make sure that when you hit a target, you hit it and you kill the son of a bitch. So we don't have to deal with him again coming back out. So he doesn't call his buddies and say, hey, the Apaches are coming.
Harsh words. But Jake has been around a long time. He knows that even in training, pilots can die, especially in the dark mountains of Albania. He doesn't want it to happen on his watch.
And these kids come out with some of the best training I've ever seen. I just tell them, yeah, you're young, you're a little short on combat experience, but you're very well trained, and we're not going to put them in a situation that they can't handle.
Hedgepath, how you doing this morning? You having a good time? Life treating you okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. Did you ride home yet?
Jake's day began long before his evening briefing, in the morning, and he will not stop moving until far into the night. First stop, his Tactical Operations Center.
We have flight operations. We have our radio bulk there. Now we can talk UHF, we can talk SINGAS secure, and we can talk SATCOM from out of here. So we have redundant capability in everything we do here. So we're tracking right now.
Jake's pilots can train for their missions right here in the Operations Center on a kind of super video game that actually shows them the very terrain they will fly over.
And it allows us to fly the whole mission so we can see the terrain and you know what the good routes are, what the bad routes are, and we make adjustments on the route based on that.
Far behind the front lines, this artillery team has moved 18 truck-mounted MLRS rocket launchers to a secret location. From here, they can fire at targets over 100 miles away and help provide support for the helicopters. These men, too, are ready to go.
We've all got a cigar taped to the roof of our cab above our heads. As soon as we put that our first missile downrange, we're lighting up.
Every morning you wake up and you step outside and you look at this beautiful country. I mean, it's gorgeous.
In the small tent that is home away from home, Jake keeps, like a talisman, the symbol of his brotherhood of warriors.
What's with this, sir?
Stetson. Camp troopers all wear Stetsons.
You don't wear this into battle, do you?
Oh, no, we don't. We use these for ceremonies, when we have formations and stuff.
Potential orders. This is to certify that the Secretary of the Army has awarded the Army Achievement Medal.
These ceremonies are small rituals that bind Jake's team together and help them remember why they chose to be here.
Great job. Appreciate all the hard work you do. You guys take care. Be good.
too.
Hey, Terry, did you guys get those flak vests yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how about the goggles?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to go.
By mid-afternoon, before he stops for lunch, Jake moves down the flight line.
Uh-oh, nothing but trouble with this aircraft, I tell you. Watch fingers coming up. Okay.
On the edge of combat, details mark the boundary between life and death.
What are you guys up to, Santaker?
Each pilot has his own way. Jake likes to think of his aircraft as an intimate friend.
You gotta love him. You gotta talk sweet to him. It's like a woman, you know? You gotta treat her with a lot of love and then she'll act better for you.
Okay, guys, ready to roll?
At 3 o'clock, the key team members gather inside the heart of Task Force Hawk, the command and control module almost never seen by outsiders, called the Deep Operations Control Center, or the DOC. On center stage are the commanders, General Dick Cody, directing air operations, Task Force Commander John Hendricks, and Colonel Ray Odierno, in charge of everything on the ground.
For helicopter operations, sir, I can show you specific points along the map that we expect will be choke points.
The enemy looks at their terrain, we look at the terrain. It's the same piece of terrain, and we all know what the best avenues of approach are. Friendly side, enemy side. That has always been the case in war. But the guy who does it best and the guy who preconditions the attack best will win.
The Apache's assault plan was simple. They would fly pre-designated routes through the mountains with code names like Condor, Buzzard, and Eagle. And at first they would focus on two areas heavily fortified by the Serbs: the northern supply road for Kosovar rebel forces and a southern route through the town of Prizren. After initial strikes by artillery and MLRS missiles, the Apaches would cross the border looking for targets spotted by unmanned observation planes. Total expected time in Kosovo, only 5 minutes. Not until much later would the Apaches try to strike deep.
We know where we're going. We know where he is. The night is our friend. We have the best night vision systems aboard, much better than they have. And we have tactics and techniques that will certainly aid us in getting in and getting out properly.
Traveling just behind the Apaches will be a team of Black Hawk helicopters, one command and control aircraft, one carrying an infantry team trained to rescue downed pilots, and one medevac. They call it a three-pack. And at the center of the storm, just as you would expect, is squadron leader Jake.
24 Apaches.
Okay.
How much can they change the pace, the rhythm of the fighting in Kosovo?
Significantly, because right now what's happening, he's hiding his stuff. And we know where that stuff is hidden, and it's difficult for the Air Force to get at it. We can go in there and get that stuff because we know where it is, and that's all we're waiting to do.
It's even more difficult for the Air Force to get all that stuff when they're flying a full 3 miles above the ground, trying to find targets without killing civilians and without getting hit by artillery or surface-to-air missiles. In fact, NATO is trying to wage a war without taking a single casualty, which is why the Apaches' plans for eyeball-to-eyeball combat, literally daring the enemy to try and catch them, makes so many people so very nervous. It is nightfall when Apaches like to come out to hunt. We will travel in the command and control Black Hawk. No lights, so everything is seen through the eerie green glow of night vision.
03, this is Big Windy 6-6. We are 7 up at this time.
And what you see is how stunningly close to the twisting mountains the Apaches fly. There is no margin for error.
Hawk base. This is 6-shooter X-ray.
The flight is deceptively quiet. Low-key voices drift across the radio. We fly high into the mountains near the Kosovo border, maneuver into battle stations, and then, just as quietly, return. This is training. The guns remain silent.
You have the same thing. You still have access to the controls.
There is one stop on the way home for mid-flight refueling.
We've got 18 Air Force and Ranger personnel around us providing ground security.
A Chinook helicopter, kind of a flying gas station nicknamed Fat Cow, is waiting at a hidden location. Each Apache will be on the ground less than 6 minutes before lifting off for the base.
We want to somehow, with a lot of planning, get them to approach right when we're set up and ready to refuel. So then it's minimal time on the ground for me, for my guys, and for the security personnel.
This night, the pilots spotted some tracer fire, a small sign the war was there, just out of reach, and the Apaches were still tourists. What they didn't know is that very soon, the distant war would, for a terrible moment, come to visit them.
Everybody off this hill. Let's go. Off the hill, sir.
On the night of April 26th, the Apaches fell into a nightmare. It began as another routine exercise. The DART team, the Downed Aviator Rescue and Recovery Team, training to extract pilots after a crash.
Today we're going to simulate a real-world injury, and we're going to insert both security and medevac assets to bring them out of the downed aviator point, the DAF call.
If a pilot goes down on a real mission, they're likely to be the one they call in.
The Blackhawks will come, yes sir.
10 soldiers crammed themselves into the back of the DART team's Black Hawk. Everything is bathed in the green glow of cameraman Fletcher Johnson's night scope.
And we're off at this time. There won't be frequency changes. We'll call you on the way back. 1917 takeoff. We're on the go. Log it.
The Black Hawk moves out and up into the mountains.
A little bit heavy with all them people back there.
The air is thin at these altitudes. When the helicopters carry heavy loads, it's more difficult to maneuver. and more dangerous.
How we doing back there? Anybody sick yet?
11 minutes after takeoff, the DART team has reached its destination.
Left door!
The soldiers fan out to set up a defensive perimeter.
Right now what we're doing, we're setting up some security, keep the bystanders off. The Albanians come up, want to see what's going on, keep them back to their own safety. Our guys are setting up here. We got one guy who's going to be a casualty.
This soldier is playing the role of an injured pilot.
How bad are you hurt? Pretty bad.
With the area secured, the team waits for the medevac chopper to arrive. On either side, Apaches are hovering, offering protection. But the tail of one begins to wobble. It starts to lose altitude. Then, the rescue training mission suddenly becomes very real.
What happened?
Weighed down with over 70 pounds of gear and Kevlar vests, the soldiers move as quickly as they can up a hilly slope toward the burning helicopter. The onboard ammunition could explode, but they still rush in to find the pilots.
All right, security's back. Let's go, man. We got it, guys. We got the guys. Let's go. Take your time. So let me go down front. Okay? Yeah, we're off. Everybody off this hill. Let's go. Off the hill, sir.
Safely away from the burning wreck, the soldiers check to see if the pilots are hurt.
You guys, anything wrong right now? Yo, hey, possible finger wounds. Everybody seems okay. Seems a little shaken up. That's all. We're gonna call medevac in for you guys. Get you out of here. We'll secure the rest of the aircraft. Blue Star, no problem. Over. The crash happened about 15 minutes ago. And we watched the crash just over the hill here. Everyone, as we have said, is out safely. We got 2 men we still have to evacuate. The biggest concern now is that that's still fully loaded with ammunition, so we're staying very far away. There's still a lot of fuel in the fuel tank. A lot. Okay, gentlemen.
We had all the missiles, 4 missiles. You had 2 rocket pods filled with 19 rockets each. A lot of ammunition up there.
Go to the medevac frequency 9 and drop it off to secure.
Stay with it.
Ready?
Let's just get out of here.
You got to take it off secure.
The medevac Black Hawk is rushing to the location.
I have 2 patients. They're ambulatory with minor wounds. They have evacuated the aircraft. Great. The aircraft is fully loaded and on fire. Please keep busy. We're down in the valley near the White Mine. Everyone stay clear.
One of the pilots does have a broken finger and appears to be in shock. He starts to lose consciousness.
You know where you're at? Who's front seat? Where you at? Who's front seat?
The other,
Close your eyes. Got a little flesh wound on the face, otherwise you're all right.
minutes feel like hours.
Where is that medevac?
It has actually arrived inside 15 minutes.
Medevac in!
The pilots will soon be back at Task Force Hawk's MASH unit. Their aircraft is destroyed, but they are in good health.
There were no indications of hostile fire. The cause of the crash is under investigation.
The next morning, Task Force Hawk digs in to deal with the fallout.
Can I have your questions? Did it hit it for a second? If you just...
A lot of questions, actually, but they boil down to just one. Does the crash mean the Apaches are not ready?
It's one of the things that's the cost of doing business, and we're driving on with our mission. No impact whatsoever.
Inside the task force, they knew the questions would not go away so easily.
It happened because the Apache was put at extremely heavy loads at very high altitudes, and you have young pilots.
That's true. That's exactly why it happened, but it could happen any place else in the United States or in Europe also.
Are you, as the man directing this operation, convinced you should proceed?
Yes.
9 days passed. It is now May 5th, 12:30 a.m. The dock is relaxed as another training mission proceeds on schedule. But in just 1 hour, they will hear the nightmare has returned. Another Apache is down. Chief Warrant Officers David Gibbs and Kevin Reichert were both dead. Like the other team, these pilots were from Jake's squadron. He and his operations officer, R.D., were there.
I saw the flash of the fireball out my eye, and the first thing you always think of is, oh my gosh, an aircraft. But I wanted to think something else. I wanted to think artillery was coming in, something else had happened.
It seems like an eternity. Maybe it's 5 seconds, maybe it's a minute. And after a minute or two, when it sinks in that I just put my head down on the console for a minute.
By 4 a.m., the rest of the squadron had landed and gathered in the briefing tent. No one spoke. 2 hours later, the weary DART team made their way home. Explosions from the onboard fuel and ammunition had been so intense they had no way to reach the downed pilots.
And I had to go back out to the site to confirm that, yes, there were 2 bodies. One of the things that I did for me was when I went out there, I went to each of them, said a little prayer, knelt down, kissed them in the name of their wives and families, because I knew that they wouldn't be able to do that.
2 crashes in less than 2 weeks. Does that indicate there may be something fundamentally wrong with the Apaches?
This time, the questions from the press were ferocious.
Are you not now reviewing the way you train? Because something is going very badly wrong, isn't it?
And this time, Public Affairs Officer Gary Dornan had no easy answers.
It's a hazardous and risky business. We're flying at night with heavy loads, full ordnance. We're flying under total blackout conditions. We're flying in difficult terrain. We're flying under difficult conditions.
On World News Tonight this Wednesday, serious concern about a machine that has yet to fly against the Serbs. Another Apache helicopter crashes in Albania. The 2 crewmen are dead.
It could now be months, officials say, before President Clinton is willing to risk the Apache in combat inside Kosovo.
A storm was raging over Task Force Hawk, but at the center, there was only quiet. At 6 o'clock that night, the base was shut down to air traffic, and the soldiers walked silently across the runway. A C-17 transport was waiting to carry the bodies home to Germany. Everyone at Tirana Airport came together to pay their respects.
You remember them, you miss them, and you try to do honor by what they would have done.
As the C-17 lifted off, the leaders of Task Force Hawk knew they had to stay behind and face a growing public relations disaster. If the Apaches were to fly in combat, the generals would now have to take some risks of their own. They began to plan a very different kind of campaign.
You know that this is the first mission after the accident.
Roger. This can have 2 impacts on the unit. One, it can bring you to your knees if you let it. The other, it can strengthen your resolve to do things right and do them smart and do them safe.
Squadron Commander George's team was given the next training mission, a chance to pull the pilots together. They gathered near the helicopters.
Success tonight is every one of us looking each other in the eye in the tent when we get back. And Cody Hall, you got it? All right. Don't be screwing around and make silly mistakes. Get ahead of the game and stay ahead of the game. Chaplain?
Father God, be with each and every one of these young soldiers as they go up, and bring them back safely, Lord, to us. In your name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, give me 1, 2, 3, attack. Let's go kick some ass. 1, 2, 3, attack! Let's go, you guys.
While George prepared for the mission, the commanders of Task Force Hawk grew convinced they knew what had caused the fatal crash. The helicopter's onboard video camera had recorded a 360-degree roll moments before the aircraft hit the ground, a maneuver no pilot would have made, even accidentally. It had to be equipment malfunction.
Had that particular malfunction happened any place in the world, on a regular flight at any one of our bases, the results would have been the same.
It means nothing about these pilots.
No, not at all.
With critics loudly suggesting something was terribly wrong with the Apaches, Task Force Commander John Hendricks decided on a public relations gamble. Well before the investigation was complete, he announced he was sure it had not been pilot error.
Mechanical failures do occur, and they occur with all aircraft. The helicopter is a complicated machine, but this is a good helicopter, and these helicopters are well maintained. So I don't think that I would say that there's a danger here that the helicopters are not a match for this terrain.
The gamble worked. The speculation quickly died away. But the debate over whether to send the Apaches into combat over Kosovo continued to rage. At Task Force Hawk, frustrations were building.
Without grading the papers of those people who give me orders, I would simply say that we went to a lot of expense to bring this force here, we the United States. And so I certainly came here under with the belief that the decision had already been made to commit us to the operation.
And do you have the feeling now that that decision has not been made?
I'm not sure. I'm just not sure, Forrest.
It might not have been clear to General Hendricks, but to the Pentagon.
At this point in time, I think the risk outweigh the benefits because of the conditions on the ground right now.
The way it looks from the outside is that General Clark would like to be able to use the Apaches, has wanted to for some time. The Joint Chiefs of Staff is reluctant to approve that.
We made a recommendation on a request that doesn't exist. So I think it's still in General Clark's court, and General Clark's a very smart fellow. He knows how to use those assets.
He is a smart fellow, and he would not make that request if he knew that the Joint Chiefs of Staff was disinclined to approve it.
Well, I think that's probably right. I mean, he also looks at the same thing we do, and I think his judgment is every bit as sound as ours.
Political storms in Washington, and in Albania, bad weather. Squadron leader George had to cut short his training mission.
We ran into some weather that caused us to turn back a little early and backtrack and come back the way we went in.
Is that the type of weather you might experience in Kosovo?
I think it's the kind of weather that's typical of the terrain that we're flying in right now.
4 weeks after its arrival in Albania, Task Force Hawk was finally given permission to fire weapons in training. Chinook helicopters airlifted 4 105mm artillery guns intended as behind-the-lines ground support for the Apaches to a firing range. Colonel Ray Odierno supervised.
They get in very quickly, shoot very quickly, and then get out very quickly.
And they have to get out because?
It's the threat of them seeing the Chinooks as they come in, and also as they fire, potentially they could get picked up by some observers.
From the time the guns begin firing until the Chinooks carry them out again, the artillery teams have only 10 minutes. After that, in real combat, the enemy's artillery would have them in their sights. It all went so well until, at the last moment, bad weather set in again. The Chinook helicopters were grounded. In combat, the artillery teams would be trapped. Lieutenant Colonel Joe Anderson.
Joe, what happened?
Forrest, the fog came in. I think everything went great till, but you saw what happened when we hit the ground. It started socking us in, and I'm afraid the fog outwitted the aviators.
How long you figure we're here?
I think we're here till daylight.
10 minutes on the ground has just turned into 8 hours.
So here we are. We're sitting here, we're waiting, we're fogged in. See any symbolism with the rest of the mission?
Well, you have to ask me those tough questions, huh? You know, it's just kind of the way it's been going. We fought like hell to get up here to shoot this thing, and then we finally get up here, and now we're stuck here. So, yeah, there's some symbolism.
Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and get it.
Ironically, this live fire exercise was as close to the war in Kosovo as the Apaches ever got. 100 artillery rounds were the only shots fired by Task Force Hawk. The war drew to a close with more than 35,000 sorties flown by NATO warplanes and not a single pilot lost. The only casualties were 2 Apache pilots who never saw combat.
Light horsemen, sound off when your name is called.
Task Force Hawk held its own private memorial service for David Gibbs and Kevin Reichert. By military tradition, there was a roll call.
Chief Warrant Officer 3, David Gibbs. Mr. Gibbs. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Kevin Riker. Mr. Riker.
When the service was over, their comrades collected the lost pilots' helmets and boots to store them away. Eventually, the Apaches would have their chance to fly into Kosovo as peacekeepers after the war had ended.